Green Jeans Garden, PLC, Green Jeans Garden.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back, and welcome to week 2. Last time you guys saw the girls here, it was day 6 of flower. We were just wrapping up the first week of 12-12, and now we're just getting started here on the second week of 12-12. We're here on day 9 today, so day 9 of 12-12. So just 3 days after you last saw the girls, but like I mentioned, to give you a little preview, gonna drop the second trellis net down, and that's exactly what I did. Didn't have really time to give you footage, but you guys saw the first net go down a few updates ago. It's just a trellis net. Anyway, gave the plants 1 day to recover yesterday, just kind of let them do their thing. And now we're cruising in here on day 9, and they've responded fantastic. They've sprung up a good amount already. Got another, they're basically on an inch of growth kind of pace right now, and looking great. The last at the last bit of the update last week, we started talking about some of the subtle differences that were starting to show up between the all-white spectrum and the photo boost spectrum. And we're still saying they're subtle, and last week we were talking about it, and it had to do with the white is a little more terminal cola or kind of dominant cola, not as much secondary growth reaching up to kind of reach that main canopy. Trust me, it's fantastic. The canopy looks great. I really like the look of it. But when we look over here to the photo boost side, it's just thicker. It's just thicker with heads that are above the canopy. And once we put the trellis net down, or I put the trellis net down, that was really evident. And I think you can see it now. I can definitely see it in person. But again, I'm here, I'm looking. So tell me what you guys think. But right off the bat, having the trellis net down really shows how much is above this trellis line for the photo boost canopy, and how much is still above the trellis net here, but it just shows the differences. Again, I also think this growth is a little thicker. Just the cells themselves are just a touch thicker, so is the stem. So like I said, it seems about the same amount of photosynthesis, just distributed a little differently, and that's exactly what we expect to see. So we're going to keep following that along, but nice to see right off the bat here. So we're here early in the week. Not much is going on. We're not going to defoliate this week, although I do go in, prune up some things here and there, a few weak branches that just aren't making the cut, things like that. Also some leaves that really start to just get in the darkness as the canopy stretches up. Some of these guys will go eventually, just a little ugly. She can come off. Even though it's nice and healthy, it's getting no light down here, and we're never going to put the plants in a situation where they need to pull from reserves that are stored that they're not using immediately. So something like this, don't worry about it. That was just an example, but more in the center of the canopy, things like that. Feel free to pull off a few here and there throughout. You don't have to wait till the full leaf strip or things like that. So just keep the canopy maintained. Slight training, few things. There's a empty square here basically that doesn't have any heads in it. We've got a few heads trying to share this. Maybe we'll bring the big guy over, or maybe the secondary, and give it some space. Things like that. Just really start to shape out the canopy, because this is kind of the last chance we'll get, and we'll monitor them throughout the week. So, and you can tell as you were just in there, the bud development has started. Said day 6 they really started to look like they got crowns. Well, having some pistolate development and crowns starting to show already. I'll get you in here with a longer lens here in a little bit, but looking good. So I'll catch up with you guys a little bit later in the week. So here on day 13 of flower, wrapping up the second week of 12-12, and you guys saw them a little bit earlier in the week right after we threw the trellis net down. Now you can see they have just blown past that, through and past, and are continuing on with their stretch. Being day 14, we're getting pretty close to the end here, but what's going to basically continue to happen, not going to get much more on the main colas, maybe an inch or two more, but overall over the next week, the secondary canopy is going to continue to reach and fill out. You know, before we go talk about the subtle differences between the spectrum, we noted them last week, and we'll kind of know what we do see this week. As a whole, this garden is looking really, really good, if I do say so myself. Doesn't matter where we go, what plant we grab, just beautiful, beautiful, nice, lush green, even, non-deficient growth. Again, both sides, does not matter. And we have beautiful bud set, branching, and even canopy throughout. So overall, just really excited where this run is. Wasn't super excited about running this watermelon Skittles cut, wasn't my first pick, but now having it in a monocrop full room situation with fantastic light, perfect veg time and setup, me being able to structure my canopy accordingly, really liking how she's running this time. And both the strip light designs are performing fantastic. Now, before we get into the individuals of the spectrum and their differences and talk about some lights and whatnot, do have to mention that there are 18 cuts here. Oops, let's give you guys some exposure. Got 18 cuts here of that watermelon Skittles cut. These were all clones from the same mom, taken at the same time, given to me at, you know, roughly the same age, put in here and vegged for 3 weeks. They have been fed Jack's Hydro in the 3-2-1 formula. Jack's Hydro in the 3-2-1 formula at 800. When they first started as clones, they got 850 ppm of nutrient strength. Now at the size you see them, 36-inch tall, fully lush plants, they are now getting 1,000 ppm. So from clone to the max they're going to get has only fluctuated 200 ppm. Again, that is Jack's Hydro, calcium nitrate, and Epsom salt in a 3-to-1 ratio at around 1,000 ppm. I also give them Tribus microbes, the original, as well as some fulvic acid. You guys can check out all my nutrient videos on that. But anyway, that's what they've been fed, the exact amount, and this whole time, and will continue to get fed that same amount until we teeter off for the last 10 days of flush. And like we said, the health, the bud set, fantastic. And that is even across the board. Neither of these spectrum have said that, hey, we need a little bit something extra out of our nutrients. Overall, they're performing very similar on their nutrient demands. But now that we've mentioned it, let's talk about the subtle differences that are going on between the canopy, because hey, this is kind of a side-by-side grow, and that's what we're here to talk about. So last week, what we noted the most was the thickness of growth and upper canopy between the two spectrum. And that being the white spectrum being the kind of, I don't want to call it weaker because it has its own strengths, but what it has is more terminal, more dominant growth, more almost HPS style, we would say, but it's still, if you were to compare this to an HPS, much more spread and whatnot. But when we grab a terminal coal and we look around it, there's not as much secondary growth, 1 or 2 here and there. And if we look from above, the canopy, I guess you can't really see it, but the canopy is just not as thick. As we come over to the photo booth side, and I don't know if you can see it on camera, but most people seem to be able to see it on camera. I see them every day, so I'm not quite sure. Anyway, we come over to the photo booth side, and much thicker top canopy growth, as well as slightly tighter nodal spacing between. You know, overall it's pretty similar on the node spacing, but just ever so slightly on the photo booth side, as well as, more importantly, a lot more heads right at this secondary layer of canopy, just a few inches down from the very tops. It's hard to tell any differences in the middle canopy. It's so thick. I think next week when we defoliate, we're really going to get to see what's going on in there, and it'll be a little more, you know, eye-opening for us. But overall, that's the main difference that I'm seeing. This week, it's kind of evened out a little bit. I feel like the white spectrum has just continued to grow, and It's filling out nicely. Photo Boost still has a slight lead in my opinion, but the all-white spectrum filling out and doing what it should do very nicely. Again, next week when we defoliate in the day 15 to 17 range, we'll really get to see what's going on. But with that said, I think last week we may have noted that the Photo Boost spectrum might be a touch shorter, maybe an inch, not very much to say at all. But now the Photo Boost spectrum has a clear, at least in the tallest of colas, is just a ½ inch above here. So anyway, trying to get at is there's very little height difference, but I still do think the Photo Boost has the thickness. We'll see in the end, but the differences are kind of staying here so far. So with the light, we can't forget about light intensity. So these lights have been in the same position the whole time of growth, at least since we set them up in the hydro trays here, and that's been it started at 36 inches above this first trellis line here. And at that point we were getting 700 to 750 micromoles in the center for intensity from 36 inches away from these fixtures. We flipped just a few inches above the second trellis net, right at almost about 800 micromoles we flipped at, and the plants immediately went into their flower transition stretch and have continued to stretch up and through the micromole intensity, and have now topped out at 12 inches away from the fixture, almost on the dot right now, and are hitting around 1050 to 1100 micromoles at their peak tops, and around 750, almost 800 on the outer edge colas. So really, really nice intensity across the board, across the canopy, and that's why we're starting to get fantastic flower development, stacking, tight nodal spacing. Nice intense light. Not too intense, but also even. We're getting that intensity, like I said, across the majority of the canopy, and that's why it's so nice and even, so uniform, and so lush and thick. So they are at, like I said, around 1100 micromoles of intensity. That's a touch more than I want. It's not too much at all, especially with the CO2 that we're running. They can definitely handle this. I think I'm going to back it off to 1000 micromoles on the dot, which will require raising the sign just about 2-3 inches, which will expose that Green Jeans garden sign fantastically, and will really make for a nice photo down the line when we have this thing just packed with colas. Anyway, that's the plan, and we'll continue out for the rest just to even them out. But other than that, it was nice to have the lights set it and forget it, and the plants just kind of grow up to where they need to. Again, stretch is not quite done. These guys could do something crazy in this last week and throw on 6-7 inches, and we got plenty of height above here, but you know, like I said, convenient that they can be left right there. So next week, when we get in here, it's going to be the big controversial update, the defoliation update. And when you obviously you're looking at this canopy, this is a canopy that needs to be defoliated to maximize the light into the canopy onto all the sites. It's a controversial topic, love it or hate it, you know, leave your comments, whatever. Try to be positive, try to be respectful. You do what you do, I'm going to do what I do. Anyway, that's the big thing that's going to happen next week, and always is it's a fun update. Get a time lapse of everything. Got it all going like that, and should be exciting. Like I said, it'll also give us a little more better visual of what's going on in the inner canopy between the two trellis, and that slab right between the two trellis. Of course, we're gonna have a bunch of nug meat up top at the end, but how much growth and nugs are we gonna have in the center canopy here? Anyway, we'll get a little bit better idea next week, so that'll be fun. Stay tuned, like, subscribe if you're not, throw down some questions in the comment. I'm just going to continue to update you guys on the progress between these two spectrum and just the general growth of this canopy and garden throughout here over the next few weeks. But if you have anything specific you want me to address or answer or anything, throw it down in the comments. I will do my best to get to it. Anyway, guys, thank you. I appreciate all the likes, the support. You guys are always super positive. More likes ever on this channel with less followers than ever before. So I know it's just a bunch of, it's the core crew of real followers who want to be here for the entertainment, for the info, for the support, whatever it is. Anyway, I appreciate it, guys, very, very much, and it's noticed. So, again, like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Peace.
Green Jeans